Is to go into the Social Security Disability Office. I've been getting disability for years now, and to say to them, I don't need your money anymore.
Every day, Mainers living with disabilities conquer obstacles that we never even consider. But the job hunt is a test for even the able-bodied. Hello, everybody. I'm Lee Goldberg.
And I'm Lindsay Mills. We will have that story in a moment and an update from a death investigation in Bangor.
But first, we'll check in with Keith Carson because you guys, A, can't seem to stop talking about the beautiful weather, and B, can't seem to stop talking about Keith.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But yes, it is nice. What a big change for most of us. We got to 38 degrees yesterday. Today, actually a little bit cooler, but we had a lot of sunshine, consistent sunshine. And even though the sun angle doesn't do that much this time of the year, it feels nice, and it does a little bit of melting. Warm front nudging through overnight tonight. There could be an isolated pocket of freezing drizzle this evening. In fact, the winter weather advisory has been issued for much of the state by the National Weather Service. But once this warm front moves through, we'll be in the warm sector tomorrow and Friday, which will have temperatures in the 40s and eventually 50s. Now, by late tonight, there will be those isolated pockets of freezing rain. My feeling is because of the timing of them, they're not going to be hugely impactful. Relatively light stuff, middle of the night. By tomorrow morning, we should be warm enough in the boundary layer to be all rain showers. And tomorrow's not a very bright day, but it is mild with temperatures in the mid and upper 40s before we get even warmer on Friday. Friday is a rain out. Couple of downpours in there, almost a tropical connection with this. But temperatures in the mid, in this model thinks, upper 50s, but definitely at least in the 50s through the day on Friday. That will be a snow eater, guys. We're going to have the fog, the warmth, and the rain. Unfortunately, still watching an ice storm, though, for Saturday, so we'll talk about that.
All right, Keith, thanks so much for that update there. Well, a lot of people have a hard time finding a job when they're looking for one. Imagine looking for years.
Okay, now imagine looking for years and having a disability to deal with at the same time. That is the frustrating reality for Adam Zimmerman.
Look, I've been adapting every day of my life. That's just the nature of my disability.
Adam Zimmerman has been a fighter since birth. Born with corneal dystrophy and congenital glaucoma, the 39-year-old has always been legally blind. 15 eye surgeries before the age of 3, another dozen or so since. None of that stopped him from graduating from Portland High School, then Brandeis University with a degree in politics and philosophy. He decided to go to law school and graduated in 2010. Adam passed the bar in both Maine and Massachusetts, even starting his own practice at one point. That practice closed in 2015, and he hasn't been able to find a job since.
I don't think people want to discriminate. I've never believed that.
Adam says he has applied for in excess of 250 jobs in the last year alone. This is around the country, mostly in cities with advanced disability access when it comes to transportation. He's had interviews and second interviews, but no job offers.
When I look at why am I having this particular challenge, I know I have a good resume. I know I write a good cover letter. I know I'm a good interview. Why am I having this challenge? And I really have to draw the conclusion that my vision plays a major role in that.
Adam thinks one of the biggest misconceptions of potential employers is that if they hire someone with a disability, it may cost them money to put things in place for the employee to do his or her job. He says technology has already taken care of that in his situation, as most of today's computers are equipped with everything he would need. Adam's been posting video blogs as a way to reach out to others feeling the frustration of not being able to find work. He does get a disability check on the 3rd of every month and is looking forward to the day he can tell the state its money isn't needed anymore.
The worst day of my life happens the 3rd of every month because it says that society has decided that you have a disability, and because you have a disability, you need our help, you need our charity. I don't want charity. I want a job.
Adam says although he's frustrated, he gets up every day as determined as the one before that will be the day he lands a job and gets to head off to work. We certainly wish him luck in that.
Absolutely. Okay, a developing story from Bangor this afternoon.
Yeah, police are only saying right now that they're investigating a suspicious death. Right now we have very basic facts. Bangor police were called to this apartment, 42nd Street, for an injured person just about 10 o'clock this morning. But once police got there, they found a man dead inside. State medical examiner was called in. Investigators from Bangor police say that the man lived in that home and they will be on the scene for most of the night. Neighbors that we talked to said they're not surprised because the police have been called to that building before.
I haven't really heard much of anything, honestly. I know that there's been a lot of drugs going on in this neighborhood for a while, so.
As of right now, we have no reason at all to think that the public at large is in any danger at all.
And obviously we'll keep you updated on this developing story as we know more. Stay connected to us on air and online.
Okay, speaking of staying connected, a big part of this show is digging up answers to your questions. Yesterday, Gary reached out to us asking about tenant rights. He wants to know why landlords aren't required to have generators if they lose heat when the power goes out. So we reached out to the Portland Landlord Association just to get an idea of what tenants should expect. The association put us in touch with a local lawyer who has some advice for Gary and other viewers possibly.
So he says the first step is letting your landlord know that the power's out and ask what the landlord's plan is. But there are a couple of things to keep in mind. First, whatever your lease says goes. If it expressly bans an auxiliary heating source, that's it. But you can always ask your landlord for some help. You can get a lot accomplished with respectful conversation.
All right, good to know. A lot of us were actually wondering the same question.
We have a lot of renters in the building. Like,
right.
If power goes out, what do I do?
Right,
So,
especially ahead of the recent storm where power outages were likely.
you ask, we find out.
Exactly. Okay, it's kind of the American dream, starting your own business. When you're an entrepreneur in Maine, there's so much to inspire you. We talked to two small business owners about what the state has to offer to startups.
What are you willing to give up?
And we'll take a look at Tom Brady's new docu-series, Tom versus Time. Oh yeah, it's coming up.
Compete against me, you better be willing to give up your life, because I'm giving up mine.
Oh, it makes me nervous. Tom Brady will reveal the location of the Fountain of Youth in his new Facebook series, Tom versus Time. The Facebook Watch exclusive released the first teaser yesterday. Now, from what we can get out of this, the series will be about Tom's commitment to football and the sacrifices he's had to make to be able to play into his 40s. In the trailer, we see an interview with Tom's wife, supermodel Giselle, but we don't yet know if Bill Belichick or if any other Patriots teammates will appear in this docu-series. I can't wait.
I have a question for you, Lee. What's in that mug? Is that water
It's
from the
water.
Fountain of Youth?
This is, yes. Do I look 40? It's Tom Brady doesn't give access to people for his private life. He's very guarded in that way.
Yes.
And this is apparently going to have all kinds of, even him dropping his kids off at school, his ride
Right.
to work, his family vacations. Everybody's going to want to see this because we don't get to see this.
No,
So,
I mean, we see a little sliver of it on Facebook and Instagram exclusively. You were saying that you noticed he doesn't really dabble a lot with
no,
Twitter.
it's a great get for Facebook. It's going to put up huge, bigly numbers.
Absolutely. Okay, and today the March to Minnesota team will reveal the 2018 Patriots superfan. Chris Costa has a clue.
Hey everybody, Chris Costa here in the Patriots Fan Cave. We asked all of you on Facebook to tell us why you or someone you know is Maine's Patriots superfan. We think we found them. Take a look at this. 90 baseball caps all up along the wall. And then over here, custom jerseys. This fan decides to wear blue or white, depending on whether the Patriots are home or away. And as you take a look around, just about every other piece of Patriots memorabilia you could possibly want to see. Coming up tonight on News Center Maine at 6, we're going to tell you who this superfan is, as well as some of their rituals and why they believe they are Maine's Patriots superfan. Coming up tonight on News Center Maine at 6.
All right, do you recognize that basement? If you do, give us your guess for who the superfan is right now on our Facebook live stream. I do not know.
Yeah, I mean, I just moved here.
I know
have no
what
idea.
town Chris is in, but I don't know whose basement that is.
Yeah, oh, got a lot of jerseys. That would be stop number 1 in the jersey stolen jersey
That was,
investigation.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay. Well, on Monday, we told you Maine won $21 million in the settlement against Volkswagen after the car manufacturer admitted to cheating on emissions tests. The Maine Department of Transportation will ultimately choose what to do with the money, with the caveat that the money has to somehow reduce air pollution. Some people are pushing for more infrastructure for electric vehicles.
Now, after that story ran, excuse me, some of you asked about the carbon footprint of electric cars. Why don't you take this?
Okay. Okay, so somebody asked, where do they get the clean electricity in Maine? Most of the electricity here is from fossil fuels. There isn't much difference in burning it in a generator plant or a new car that meets current emission standards. I noticed that wasn't addressed. That comment, or that question rather, was from Reggie. So Lee, I asked Barry Woods at Revision Energy about that, whether electric vehicles are just displacing the carbon emission from the tailpipe back to the grid. He says that the electric power is more efficient, meaning vehicles can take that electricity and go much farther with it than a combustion engine. Take a look.
Right now, it's the transportation sector that's the single largest contributor of greenhouse gas emission. Okay, and why is that? Because 99% of our transportation system depends upon fossil fuel. So it's an incredibly dirty sector. For example, if the car is powered completely from coal-based electricity generation, the emission profile is about half of what a comparable combustion engine vehicle would be presenting. So even on the dirtiest grid, the car is actually very clean, primarily as the result of the efficiency of the engine.
And another viewer actually also asked, how much does this equate to financially compared to a gallon of gas? And what Barry Woods told me was it equates to about $1.45 a gallon. That'll take you about 200 miles, more than 200 miles per charge.
Well, that's a great question.
Yeah.
A lot of people are asking that. So if you want to know this, you can always ask us your questions. Just use the hashtag AskNow or just email us at asknow@newscentermaine.com.
All right, sometimes the best ideas are right in front of your face.
That you didn't necessarily need to know it was inspired by a buoy.
These sisters moved back home to start their business. Why they say their Cape Elizabeth home is the perfect design studio.
And you'll have a few more days to enjoy the warm temperatures, but then the weather will take a turn. Keith will map it all out next in the full forecast. Usually moving back into your childhood homes mean you've had some type of a setback in the career department, but it is just the opposite for a couple of people from Cape Elizabeth.
That's right. They happen to be sisters and they moved back into their childhood home where they're running their business that all started with a successful blog. Behind the bedroom door of One Cape Elizabeth home, the official headquarters of a local business. This studio was Blair Griffin's bedroom as a child.
As they say, the apple didn't fall far from the tree. Our great-grandparents came to Cape Elizabeth from Sweden, and we never left.
For Blair and her sister Haley, home is not just where the heart is, but where the business is also. They even gave it a family name, Eklund Griffin. Their relatives have looked out this window for 4 generations. This is the space where they design and sell handbags, clutches, and luggage. The leather is sourced in Maine and everything is hand-stitched in Connecticut. Haley, who moved back to Maine after graduating college, was taught to sew by her mother and handles most of the designing.
Quite a transition from silk dresses that I was designing back in college.
She uses what she calls her inspiration board, complete with some of her favorite family photos. Her father, a lobsterman, is not only her roommate, but one of her main sources of inspiration, especially for the buoy block clutch.
Going out on the water with Dad, we definitely had a lot of fun, like calling out all the different buoy colors we would see on our trips out to Peaks Island in the summer. So taking that inspiration and then instead of a 3rd solid stripe, we broke it down into a thinner collection of 5 stripes to create something that was a little more sophisticated and that you didn't necessarily need to know it was inspired by a buoy.
Haley says some of their inspiration is a little more obvious, like the Wave Weekender bag.
You see that iconic wave at the base.
The sisters store all of their inventory in every nook and cranny of the house.
Well, it looks pretty organized, I mean, for the most part.
You're not going into our bedrooms. Oh. Don't open the doors on your way out.
Now, before the business, there was a blog.
The blog has given us a multifaceted benefit to our business. We have connected with incredible entrepreneurs and other creatives locally and abroad. It's also given us a great opportunity to show the behind the scenes of the business and how we're, building our brand.
The women try to update the blog as often as they can, but the main focus now is the business and, of course, getting along.
Working together as sisters, what's that like? Are there rough days?
No, we get along so well. I mean, if I could spend more time with Haley, I would. My favorite part is that I get to fire her whenever I want, because since we're not officially, we don't have an HR department, there's no paperwork involved. So I can fire her at whim. I have to rehire her within 60 seconds because we're working on something that requires both of us.
In all seriousness though, I couldn't imagine doing this with anybody else. And Blair is my sister. We have our moments, but she's also my best friend.
One way or another, our path is going to go like this, but we'll always be together.
Haley most recently was a designer for LL Bean, and the blog, by the way, is called Sea Salt and Chambray. There you'll find a mix of their favorite recipes and fashion inspiration.
And that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Working with your sister.
They said,
I would
just
say
like
at
they said
times that would be fun.
Right,
Yes.
that's exactly what they were saying.
I'm sure it's trying eventually.
Yeah, they spend a lot of time together, and there was some sarcasm there in that story.
I noticed that. All right, where do we go from here? It's
Speaking of sarcasm.
nice over the next couple days. Yeah,
I was actually going to say it. She beat me to it.
It's going to be mild, a little cleanup going on, guys.
That was an easy one.
I know.
Low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit.
I know, it's easy. I set it up, you just knock it down. 34 for a high temperature today, 31 in Bar Harbor. Compared to where we were yesterday, a few degrees cooler, but a lot more sunshine through today, so I think it felt just as nice. We're on the edge of a warm front. That'll lift through tonight, and we'll get into the warm sector of the next 2 days. We'll be in the 40s tomorrow, and then low 50s in a lot of spots on Friday. Unfortunately, on Friday it does come with rain, so it won't be a good looking day. You can see that warm sector. Look at St. Louis, Nashville, Charlotte. We won't get Nashville warm, but probably Columbus warm by Friday, into the 50s there with that rain that kind of pushes up with that warm front. So clouds move in tonight. There's actually a winter weather advisory for a lot of Maine this evening for isolated pockets of freezing rain. I don't think this is going to be a high impact situation though, because it will be very late in the evening into the early morning hours when it moves through, and then by the time most of us get up and start commuting, it'll be rain and just cloudiness through the day on Thursday. A couple of sprinkles on Thursday. Most of the day though is dry before the actual rain moves in on Friday, and it moves in downpours through Friday afternoon, adding up to a good amount of rain. Here's a look at the Euro rainfall forecast, 1.5 to 1.7. I think this is a little nuts here, 3 inches towards Rockland, but the point is there will be several inches of rain on top of the snow, something to think about if you have a flat roof or something where there's a bunch of snow on top of it. You're going to add a lot of water weight to it. The other thing we need to watch, as I've mentioned since the beginning of the week, is Saturday. We have this storm system moving up towards us, this cold high over the northern plains, draining air down at the surface at the low levels such that on Saturday we have a battleground between the warm air aloft and the cold air at the surface. That will create a freezing rain signature for much of the state. I still think the highest risk of ice accretion is going to be in the shaded pink area here, but everyone will probably see some iteration of ice on Saturday. The question is the magnitude of that freezing rain. After that, it is back to cooler weather for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. We're watching Wednesday for the possibility of a storm. I don't think it's a big deal right now. By the way, a lot of people were asking about the pattern change that was promised. It's still coming. Today, the next couple of days are kind of a small portion of it. It looks to loosen up more at the end of the month and into beginning of February. But in the immediate concern, we'll continue to watch Saturday and see if that's just an annoyance of ice or an actual event.
All right, sir. We know you'll be watching.
Yep.
By the way, I haven't seen so much of the sarcastic side of you yet.
I know. It's subtle sometimes,
It's
isn't
subtle.
it?
Subtle sarcasm.
Okay.
All right, let's
Ortiz, quiet down.
Let's check in with Cindy Williams to see what's going on at 5:30. Hey, Cindy.
Hey, guys. Yeah, the Bangor City Council is actually investigating one of its own. It was the councilor in question who brought this to the council's attention. We're going to tell you what's happening there and what he has to say about it. And this video of a fight inside Westbrook High School is making the rounds online, why parents are concerned and what police say. Those stories and more coming up at 5:30. Back to you.
All right, Cindy, thanks so much. And coming up in Brain Drops, it's a kitchen appliance. Is it slowly killing you?
The science says no. Keith explains why microwaves are actually not giving you cancer. That's coming up next.
Already been berated during the break about this one. We're talking about microwaves. A lot of people have a fear of microwaves, which I do understand why people think that. But let's talk about how microwaves work and why they're not a threat to you, hence why we've been using them since the 60s. All right, first, the schematic of how a microwave works. It takes electric energy, obviously, and it turns it into wave energy. That's not what you hear when you turn the microwave on. What you hear is a fan cooling the device that converts it to energy. So it takes the radiation and puts it into the microwave. Now, it's surrounded on all sides by a metal box, and there's little grid points on the front of your microwave. You ever notice that? Mm-hmm. To block the wavelength from being able to penetrate past that part where you can see the food. So those are specifically 1 millimeter or smaller openings in your microwave window, where the wavelength is actually about 12 millimeters. So it is much larger than the actual spot it's trying to get through. So it goes in there and it sights the molecules in your food. Water most notably, but all the molecules, it vibrates them. The vibration creates friction, that creates heat, and that's how it warms up your food. Okay, so I said radiation, and that's scary, right? Mm-hmm. But let's talk about different exposure time, what different radiation aspects are in negative terms. So, okay, eating a banana actually has radiation in it because there's potassium. Potassium decays. Decaying potassium is radiation, but it's almost nothing. Dental X-ray, almost nothing. Chest X-ray, again, almost nothing. This is your average natural background radiation per person per year. Just walking around, this is what you're going to get. Smoking 1.5 packs a day, and then all the way down here, 10 minutes of exposure from the Chernobyl reactor after a meltdown. Death. Okay, so I showed this chart. Where does the microwave fall on it? Well, it doesn't show up here at all, and there's a reason for that. The kind of energy, the kind of radiation that a microwave uses is called non-ionizing radiation. Non-ionizing radiation means that it does not move fast enough to remove an electron from an atom. So other forms of non-ionizing radiation are radio waves, light waves that you see. Anytime you look, you're seeing radiation. Anytime you feel heat, you're absorbing radiation. So look where the microwave is relative to all these things we do every day. So again, a light bulb. You're getting more radiation from a light bulb than the center of the microwave. Ultraviolet rays, the sun is more radiation. Obviously X-rays and gamma rays. The important thing to realize here is that if it's non-ionizing radiation, that means it cannot affect the structure of molecules of your cells, of the food, or of you. So in short, that in no way can cause cancer.
By itself.
I'm going to go home and cook my TV dinner in my microwave.
I am absolutely not, and my kids aren't allowed near it. Okay, that's it. News at 5:30 starts now.